Welcome to another edition of Tee It Up with Kayla, presented by 72 Sold. We're out here at Augusta Ranch Golf Club, joined with owner-operator Don Rea. You're also the secretary of the PGA of America, so we got a big-time guest with us today. Don, thank you very much for having us out to Augusta Ranch.
It's great having you out here again. It's been a long time.
It has been.
You've seen the improvements on the place.
We have seen the improvements on the place, so let's first start about that.
Yeah.
How long have you been the owner and operator here at Augusta Ranch, and therefore what sort of changes did you implement?
Well, you know, it's crazy. I kind of got to tell the whole story in a sense. After I got out of being a professional umpire, I started out here cleaning clubs 22 something years ago, and then worked my way up to head golf professional, and then ran Eagle Mountain for a while, the golf club Eagle Mountain, then came back here when I started my management company. But in the situation right now, you know, with the HOA, it's been about 5 years. We're really, Karen and I and my partner Kurt, you know, we've kind of instituted some things because no longer are there any investors telling us no. So, you know, I mean, really, we've just recognized that only 8-9% of the population plays golf, right? And so what are we going to do to bring people in and then just, you know, let them see a little bit of golf and know that if they get involved, they're going to love it. So I think, you know, whether it's our movie nights on the range, whether it's our water slides on the driving range, whether it's karaoke here, branding this restaurant is something separate. We're not just a restaurant at a golf course. We feel like we're a golf course that happens to be at a restaurant, right? So just acknowledging that, but also having a little bit of golf around them so they're like, maybe I should get in a putting league or a chip and sip or a wine and nine, right? But those are the things. We're just trying to think in terms of not the golf consumer, but the consumer, because 100% of the people eat and want to have fun. So if we could show them that golf is actually more fun than they think, then I think we got a winning recipe.
I did not realize that only 8 to 9% of people are playing golf. So when we talk about growing the game, there's a huge need for growing the game. And so you mentioned here things that I've never actually heard of: chip and sip, water slides on the golf course. So talk to me about how that sort of brainstorming process came about and how it gets people involved in kind of that community feel that you're bringing in.
Well, I think it's being a dad and being a husband, right? Of just, what do I want to do with my family? That's not always going to be golf. I mean, I think Topgolf's opened our eyes, right? The swing at a golf club can be fun. There isn't any pressure to score, because even if you hit it off that ledge at Topgolf, you might just get some points, right? So I think all of those things was getting down with the staff and just brainstorming and trying to think outside of ourselves of, you know, not just what a golf course should do, but what would we do if we wanted to bring families together? We wanted to bring communities together. I think that's where golf misses it. You know, I've said this before, but, you know, being an umpire, minor league baseball is hilarious. There are things that they do in between innings. They know you're there for baseball, but they're entertaining you in between innings. Maybe there needs to be a little more minor league baseball in golf, just to have fun. So I think that's what we've just tried to really expand our minds. And like I said, bike rides on the golf course. We've done walkathons on the golf course. Just how can I use 90 acres to bring people together? And I'll get them playing golf if I get them here. Absolutely, and certainly your infectious enthusiasm has been seen in the staff that I have interacted with so far here at Augusta Ranch. So when you come out though to play, and you're talking about the 18 holes that are out here, what kind of golf course are people getting? You know, we have an outstanding superintendent, Eduardo Morales. He actually worked up at Desert Mountain. He used to prepare the golf course for, you know, the tradition when it was up there. So he's very proud of his greens. I mean, we really do believe we're the best executive course in Arizona. I know Mountain Shadows does a good job, but I think here, you know, the size of our greens, the amount of grass that's out here, whether you're a beginner who's afraid of spraying it too far and hitting the house, the corridors here are huge. But the greens are big. That's good. But the greens are smooth. And the tee boxes are good. So I think as a player, if you're a good player, you're going to acknowledge, wow, hey, I'll play this course anytime. We'd love to get our greens. We stimp them. I don't know how many short courses stimp their greens. We stimp them all the time. We want them to be 10 or 11. But we also acknowledge that I might be playing with my daughter, Katie, and I want her to have a good time. So the flexibility on tee boxes, that's kind of what we look at. I think some golf courses could focus on the back tees, and they don't focus on the front tees. And so if my wife's playing, they're all uneven. Why? You know, if I'm going to grow the game, I got to make sure that everybody who plays it, regardless of where they're from, are getting the same conditions. It's not fair that the back tee box is always perfect, right? So I think it's just thinking in those eyes. We just continue to think, this ain't about the good golfer. This is about families playing so that the good golfer can bring other people to the game, because that's what's going to take. It's going to take the good golfers, the people who do play, the 8%, rallying that other 92 to say, you got to do what I'm doing because it's fun.
When you talk about the different tee boxes and you talk about growing the game, we're obviously getting away from the stigma of this is the male tee box and this is the female tee box. We have, the back tees, the middle tees, the forward tees. How can some of that just language really help change people's perceptions and finding a tee box that works for their game?
Yeah, I think you're right. Thank goodness, right? We're finally getting past all that. Even with our ladies group here, the way I look at it is, what are the irons that the LPGA players are hitting into greens? What are the irons that the tour players are hitting into greens? They're not hitting 5 irons. They're not hitting hybrids. They're hitting 8 irons. They're hitting wedges. So really, you need to back it up and go, okay, if you're hitting an 8 iron into this green, where would you be from the tee box to hit a drive to this spot? I think it's going to be a little shorter than you think. So if you're just beating yourself up, playing a 12-foot rim when everybody else is playing a 10-foot rim, and when an 8-foot rim is even more fun, if you've ever played 8-foot basketball, right? I just think you need to look in terms of that. Not how far the course is playing or how long the course is playing, but what are your shots into the green? Give yourself a chance, just like the tour players do. It should be an 8 or a 9 or a 7 iron in your hand when you're hitting your approach shot. And if you do that, and you play those tee boxes, you'll have a good time.
I will say, transitioning out of playing everyday professional golf and getting to play in some more charity golf events and getting to play from the forward tees, golf is like really fun when you're able to drive the greens or really just have these short wedges in. You're like, this is awesome. So just kind of mixing things up and having fun can also be a really neat experience with golf. Stepping aside from your role here as owner-operator of Augusta Ranch, you are also the secretary of the PGA of America. Yeah. So first, let's kind of take an overview of what the PGA of America is. Maybe people don't understand that there is a difference between the PGA of America and the PGA Tour. So what is the role of the PGA of America?
Yeah, right. All the time you tell somebody you're a PGA member, they're like, do you know Tiger Woods? Do you know Phil Mickelson? I think it's funny, the tour players definitely play for a lot of money. Club professionals like me, we play for some money in sections, events, right? But we're trying to get people to make more birdies, not make birdies ourselves. I mean, that's what we focused on. That's our lot in life, is growing this game because we see the power behind it. The PGA of America, 28,000 members, Kayla, and it's divided into 41 sections, kind of like states. Mm-hmm. And then, all those members that are out there, you can get on the national board, which those sections are put into districts. And then you can get on the national board. And if you serve on that, which I did, the next step, if wanted, if needed, and if you really want to make a difference, would be to run for secretary. And it's a nationwide campaign. Certainly it was a year-long campaign. Websites and collaterals and phone calls. And during COVID, it was a nightmare. But I'm so excited. Because I think, there's not a lot of public guys in that room. And I think to bring that now, Kathy Harbin's actually a board of director now. She owns a public golf course in Texas. I mean, Kathy and I, we're just dedicated to bringing this public perspective into that boardroom to say, hey, this is the challenges we're facing to grow this game. And guess what? If we grow the game, the private clubs will have more members. So we're all part of this ecosystem. And that's what the PGA, that's what we do. We grow the game. We're here to serve our members. We're here to grow the game. And so anything, and certainly that's raising that percentage right from 8 to 10. I mean, even a 2% increase would create millions of golfers. I know we can get there, but that's what the PGA is dedicated to do. And as the eventual president, and I certainly am doing the same.
Right, so as you mentioned here, you're on a track. You start out as the secretary, then you become the vice president, and then you become the president of the PGA of America. And your main goal was to provide that voice for public golf. Yeah. How is that process going that you've been involved now for about a year?
Yeah, it's about 8 months, but it's definitely drinking from the fire hose. I mean, the PGA is the largest sports organization in the world. We have 28,000 members. So I think it's just being on all those calls and just asking a question like, what do you think about its tee boxes? Maybe we should do something. I think the USGA, when they talked about playing it forward, that was great. Okay, the PGA should be talking about that all the time, and we do. When they talk about anchoring putters, there's a lot of older gentlemen, older women who maybe have Parkinson's and they have to anchor, and now they can't post a score because of that. I mean, being in that room and going, I've seen what PGA Hope does. PGA Hope is helping our patriots everywhere. It's a free veterans program, right, that we give lessons to veterans, endorsed by the Department of Veterans Affairs. We do it every Wednesday here. So if you're going to tell me we're not going to spend as much money as we should to PGA Hope, I can tell you this isn't just a national initiative to me. I've seen Jane, I've seen John, I've seen them get out of the house. We know what those suicide rates are like, and I think sometimes you can tell somebody what it's like, but if you experience it, you just got a little more passion. You know what I mean? So getting to be on those calls and having that ability to say, well, what do you think about this? It's just planting some seeds. It's going to take a while. I've got 6 years, 2 years as secretary, 2 years as vice president. So, can I plant some seeds and make them think, okay, this is a little bigger. I didn't realize it was only 8% of the population. Okay, so let's measure our success on that, not on some fancy program.
Right. So in addition to that, you're talking about this Veterans Hope program that the PGA of America gets into. So let's dive into some of those sorts of elements that the PGA of America does and how you're giving back to the community, but then also in the whole scope of things trying to grow the game.
Yeah, so much, right? I think people want to know what you're doing for the community. That's why I think it's incumbent on every golf course to do some community events. When I do a movie night on the driving range with a 50-foot inflatable screen, 1,000 people come to that. And so if the math is right, 100 of them play golf, maybe, but they just went to a golf course that I had no idea. Wow, this is pretty out here. When they see our restaurant, there's a lot of restaurants in strip malls across America. Who wants to look at a parking lot? How about looking at the ninth green? So I think you have to think that way. The PGA of America, right now, actually a lot of the governing bodies were rallying behind something called Make Golf Your Thing. You're going to see commercials shortly. There's a website already up to say, hey, golf, whether you're an NBA player, NFL, you're a professional, whatever walk of life, gender, race, creed, or color, doesn't matter. You should be making golf your thing. It's still, 10,000 steps and 2,000 calories. This is a great thing to do with your family, and it crosses generations. You can play with your grandkids for a long time. So I think the why behind all those programs the PGA is doing is getting people out there. But I am excited that PGA Junior League, right? You're probably familiar, very successful program. It's now going to be, there's another program called PGA Family Cup, getting the parents off that cart path and onto the green, playing with their families in a two-person scramble. It's going to be awesome. You're going to see the national launch of that shortly. Those are programs that are bringing more people into the game in a fun atmosphere. So it's not about swing, stance, and score. It's about time, spending with your family. So COVID helped us with that. A terrible thing, but it helped us expose that golf is about people.
It's really great to hear you talk about the getting parents off the cart path and more together, because growing up for me, it really seems like it was parents on the cart path, we want to keep them as far away as possible. So I really like the inclusion factor because, who's driving you to the golf course? Your parent.
Right.
Who's putting forth the money to be able to pay for the clubs and the lessons? The parent. So the more that you include everyone and you get everyone involved and having fun, I think it allows for longevity for sure.
No doubt, and knowing that these PGA Junior League kids, boys and girls, getting their parents into it, who aren't going to be that good, and they're actually going to be the superstar of the two-person scramble, and Dad will make a putt and Grandma will make a putt. But I'm with you. I think that the more that we do to just bring the whole family aspect into golf, isn't it a shame that sometimes in junior golf tournaments across the nation, parents aren't even allowed on the golf course? I can't imagine watching Katie's softball game from the parking lot. That'd have been terrible. Yet we do that to our parents. So how can we teach them a little bit of etiquette,
Right.
And PGA Junior League's doing that, and I think PGA Family Cup will do the same, but that's where it's got to be, right? You want to see the kids play.
Oh, absolutely. So in addition to your role of the Secretary of the PGA of America, you had the opportunity to be at the PGA Championship, which Phil Mickelson won. Then also the PGA of America combined with the LPGA Tour for the KPMG. I'm going to mess up the entire name, process, but it is a major championship and it's really important for the women's LPGA Tour that Nelly Korda just won. So walk us through kind of that experiences that you had being at those two major venues, the setups, and what makes those events so unique.
Well, no doubt, Kerry Haig, who he runs all the tournaments for the PGA of America, is renowned for the way he sets up golf courses, and that makes a tournament, right? Because any tournament that the PGA of America is going to hold, whether it's a KPMG Women's PGA Championship, or the KitchenAid, the senior, or it's Kiowa, right, our PGA Championship, we don't want it to be about us. It's supposed to be about the golfers. We try to Kerry takes the canvas of that golf course and makes sure that it's represented well for the members of that golf course, the people who play that golf course, and that it actually tests the best players in the world. So whether you're looking at the setup at Kiowa or you're looking at the setup at the Atlanta Athletic Club, you're going to see that same characteristic to it. I really enjoy what Kerry does. One thing I really like about the KPMG is that the PGA Championship is at a high level. It is a major. And so when we took over the KPMG Women's PGA Championship 5 years ago, we dedicated ourselves, just no matter what the money was, even if we lost money on it, that we would make it the same experience for the LPGA players as the PGA players. So whether it's the Cadillac courtesy cars, whether it's the food inside, that you've had, if you went to the KPMG, Kayla, you would see that it's at a high level. The players pull us aside all the time and go, thank you so much. This is so cool. We don't get this on a normal basis. Granted, it's a major, but you guys are treating this like it's like the best LPGA tournament. Absolute, that's what we want it to be. So seeing that dedication from the championship staff, knowing that the world's going to see these events, and knowing that we also want to broadcast what our PGA members are doing, help the LPGA professionals do what they're doing. Marvin Bernard's a good friend of mine. I mean, I like the fact that we're coordinating those efforts to grow the game.
Yeah, just hearing you talk about all that you're doing for the KPMG, I wish I was still on tour to be able to play in that event, because just being able to elevate it and have those little intricacies that we don't necessarily get week in and week out on the LPGA Tour makes a huge difference when you walk in and you really encompass the entire major championship field. So that's really awesome to hear the dedication that you have to growing the game, but also to the women's side of things as well on the professional level. I do want to bring it back here to Augusta Ranch.
Sure.
In part of growing the game, you were telling me a story off air about how you want your PGA professionals that are in the clubhouse there to kind of just go walk up and down the driving range and interact with people. So, give a little tip here, a little tip there. What sort of, instructional opportunities do you have here at Augusta Ranch, and the need and the benefit to get instruction from the very beginning to get yourself on the right track and not developing bad habits?
Yeah, right. I think whether you're LPGA professional or PGA professional, we love people, we love the game. That's why we play it. And I think when golf was booming, they needed somebody to count all the money because it was going great. As a PGA professional, you always want to make a little more money. And so if they're going to promote me to GM, I take the job. And now all of a sudden I'm stuck in the room. And then when golf was struggling, now we've got to count the beans because there's not many of them. And how are we going to save money? Once again, we're not out on those front lines. Golf used to be that you walked up and down the line building relationships. And those relationships are going to sustain any other pandemic or downturn in the game of golf. So you have to make a conscious effort as an operator. Do we have the funnels in place? When Katie played softball, I knew that it was T-ball. I knew that it was coach pitch and it was minors and majors. And I knew, and Karen and I knew, what the iterations were for her to enjoy the game of softball. But golf doesn't have those. We have to create those. So here, we do focus on that. We've got a Saturday clinic that's only $5. Hopefully we can get you into the First Tee program. The First Tee program hopefully will roll into some PGA Junior League event. And maybe into Family Cup. Maybe into some high school fun league, which Next Gen's doing, which is a company the PGA of America bought. So how do we make sure that so I'm doing pretty good. What's my next step? I see all these introductory junior clinics and adult clinics, and once they're done, okay, what's now? Are you going to do some fun play days for them? You have to have these programs in place, whether it's on your website or it's a handout you give to the people who come in, so they know where they're going next. And so here, yeah, absolutely, I think the golf professionals should be walking up and down the line, picking up the baskets, stretching their legs a little, and just starting a conversation. Hey, what are you working on today? How are you doing? And eventually they'll say, hey, can you look at my grip? I mean, I think that's the key. Is we are about people, yet they've made us about the money, and we won't make any money unless we're about people. So we've got to switch it.
Listening to you talk about definitely growing up in junior golf, it was kind of like, okay, well, I do this, then where do we go next? And it was really kind of on ourselves and friends that we had that maybe were a little bit older that went through the process to kind of let you know what to do next. So you're talking about building those programs, building all of that out. Is that all here at Augusta Ranch? People that have juniors that want to get involved, they come talk to you and get them on the right track?
We're not perfect. I mean, we're trying. Like I said, I like the Saturday clinics. I like the First Tee. Very affordable, gets the kids out there. I want a little bit more golf in First Tee, so that's why we'll try to roll them into a different program like PGA Junior League. Like I said, rolling into even the different types of instructors. I think it's important to have a woman instructor. We have an instructor, Roland. Coach Roland's out here. He's not a PGA member, but he is all about so much fun. He doesn't do a lot of video. He just wants to get them out. He does a lot of fun clinics. So I wish I was coordinated a little bit more like that here at Augusta Ranch, but I know that's the way I'm trying to think, and I know we'll get there. But if we're thinking that what we're doing now is great because they're busy, everybody's busy because people are trying golf. But we will lose them if we can't transition them and make something sticky. Maybe it is a monthly pass that hits your credit card every month, just like a lifetime fitness type of thing. If that's enough to say for your family, like at Augusta Ranch, $100, your entire family can come out, unlimited golf every month, right? If you got a ride, I'd charge you $5. But you can come out with your family. So whether you play 5 holes or 18, it's the same price. So come out and play and walk your 2,000 or 10,000 steps. So We're not quite there perfect, Kayla, but I know we're working on it, and I think PGA can help with that. We've got to build out these iterations, these funnels. And PJ.com is actually finally doing that and kicking people to really PGA coaches.